Hey everyone. Tonight's story is not for the faint of heart. They say some graves are better left untouched. But what happens when someone ignores that warning? Let's find out. Jake was 23, working his first tech job in Seattle. He lived alone in an apartment and he'd never believed in ghosts. That changed on a Friday night in late March 2025. He and his three friends, Marcus, Emily, and Tyler, decided to explore the old St. Mary's Cemetery after sunset. The locals avoided it, claiming strange things happened there after dark. That only made it more appealing. "It's just old graves and superstition," Jake laughed as they entered through the rusted gates around 7 p.m. The cemetery was overgrown and eerie, with tombstones dating back to the 1800s. Jake was filming his friends on his phone, walking backwards when he stepped onto what looked like solid ground. There was a sickening crack. The grave marker beneath his foot, a flat stone slab, split down the middle. His foot sank into the disturbed earth. "Dude, you just broke someone's grave," Marcus said nervously. Jake pulled his foot out and looked at the broken stone. Thomas, 1847 to 1889. The rest was illegible. A cold breeze swept through the cemetery. "Let's get out of here," Jake muttered, suddenly uneasy. As they left, Jake felt eyes watching him from the shadows between the graves. That night at 3:17 a.m., Jake woke unable to breathe. A crushing weight pressed on his chest. He couldn't move. In the corner of his dark bedroom stood a tall shadow, unnaturally still, watching. The pressure lifted suddenly. He gasped and sat up. The shadow was gone. Sleep paralysis, he told himself. Just stress. But it happened again the next night. Same time, same weight, same shadow. But closer now. By the third day, Jake was exhausted. When alone in his apartment, he heard footsteps in the hallway. Nobody there. His bedroom temperature would drop randomly, cold enough to see his breath. Then the dreams started. Every night, the same distorted face. Features stretched too tight over the skull, hollow eyes, a too wide mouth with broken teeth. The man would reach for Jake, whispering incomprehensibly. He'd wake up screaming. A week later, brushing his teeth, Jake felt warm breath on his neck. He spun around, nothing. But in the mirror, for a split second, he saw the distorted face behind him. 2 days later, while cooking dinner, Jake heard his front door open. "Hello?" No answer. In his living room stood a tall man in old-fashioned clothes, his back turned. "Who are you?" Jake demanded. The man turned his head. That face. The nightmare face from his dreams. Real. In his apartment. Jake ran to his bedroom and locked the door, calling Marcus with shaking hands. Marcus convinced him to check again. The living room was empty, the door still locked from inside. But when Jake glanced into his bedroom from the kitchen, the man was there, standing beside his bed. Jake's blood froze. He'd just been in that room. How could... He blinked. The figure vanished. Jake knew then this wasn't imagination. Something was appearing in multiple places at once, getting stronger. Desperate, Jake went to St. Thomas Church downtown. Father Benedict, an elderly priest, listened to his story. The broken grave, the shadow, the dreams, the apparition. "Something has attached itself to you, an unclean spirit. When you disturbed that grave, you opened a door. Can you help me? We'll try, but some spirits don't want to leave." That evening, Father Benedict and Father Paul came to Jake's apartment with holy water, candles, and a Bible. "It is very cold in here," Father Benedict noted, though the heater ran. "The presence is strong." They began the ritual. Father Benedict sprinkled holy water, reciting Latin prayers. Jake stood clutching a rosary. The candles flickered wildly. The temperature plummeted. They heard heavy footsteps from the bedroom. The door slammed open. The distorted man stood there, hollow eyes fixed on Jake with pure hatred. Jake stumbled back. The figure walked towards them slowly, floorboards creaking. Father Benedict held up a crucifix. "By the authority of Christ, I command you, leave this place." The The figure's mouth opened impossibly wide, releasing a sound like wind through a hollow space. The lights flickered, windows rattled. Father Benedict threw holy water at it. The apparition recoiled, dissolving and reforming like smoke. It rushed at Father Benedict, but the priest stood firm. "I bind you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You are commanded to depart." The figure stopped, whirling as if held by chains. It began to shrink. Father Benedict pulled out a small glass vial and began another prayer. The entity was pulled into the vial like water down a drain, its distorted face twisted in rage. Within moments, it was contained. Father Benedict sealed it with wax. The apartment felt normal again, warm, empty. "What was that?" Jake asked, shaking. "An unclean spirit. These were often people who lived sinful lives and died in mortal sin." 2 days later, Father Benedict called. He'd found records. Thomas Whitmore died 1889, a cruel moneylender who'd driven families to ruin. When his fortunes failed, he'd taken his own life in the cemetery, on his own grave. His soul never rested. When you disturbed that grave, you gave him an opportunity to latch onto you. Is it really gone? The spirit is contained in a sacred place, blessed and sealed. You are safe now. Jake never visited cemeteries again, never took dares or mocked the supernatural. Sometimes, on quiet nights, he remembers that distorted face, those hollow eyes, that impossible mouth. But now at least he can sleep. The nightmare is over. But sometimes in the middle of the night, Jake hears something crack, like rocks breaking underfoot.